Hi, and welcome back to another episode of It's Giving Government, a Volusia County podcast. My name is Kelsee Russler.
And my name is Maggy, DuRant. In this episode, we interview Bobbie King, Volusia County Votran and Transit Services Director. We learn everything there is to know about transit services here in Volusia County.
Before we dig into this episode, we want to kick it over to Maya for the news.
Thanks, Kelsee and Maggy. The Volusia County Charter Review Commission has started its official review of the county's foundational governing document and elected offices. This citizen-led group will spend the next 8 months looking at ways to improve government operations and services. Meetings and public listening sessions are scheduled through May, giving residents plenty of chances to share their thoughts. To learn more or to find a session near you, visit volusia.org. The Volusia Innovation Hub, formerly the UCF Business Incubator, has reopened with a new name, a new look, and a renewed mission. Located at 601 Innovation Way on the Daytona Beach International Airport campus, the hub is run by Volusia County Economic Development and helps new and growing businesses. Now in its 14th year, the program offers more resources, a wider focus across industries, and a fresh aviation-themed brand that reflects its location and future goals. Votran is turning 50 this month. Keep an eye out for the special anniversary bus and plenty of fun activities and celebrations throughout the year as we honor 5 decades of service. Volusia County has once again earned national recognition for video excellence, receiving a 2025 Telly Award in the General Government Relations category for the State of Volusia County 2024 video. To watch the video and to learn more about the county initiatives, visit the County of Volusia YouTube channel or go to volusia.org. Finally, Volusia County has launched 2 new newsletters to help keep residents informed. The Flooding and Stormwater newsletter provides updates on projects and programs that address flooding across the county. The Beaches and Coastal newsletter, called Coastal Currents, shares information on beach conditions, coastal rehabilitation projects, environmental and wildlife topics, and important safety updates. To subscribe, go to volusia.org/newsletter. Back to you, Kelsee and Maggy. Enjoy the podcast.
Thank you so much, Maya, for giving us all the news on everything that's happening here in Volusia County.
Now let's go and enjoy the episode.
It's giving government.
All right, Bobbie, thank you so much for joining us today on It's Giving Government. We are so excited to talk about all things Votran.
Thank you for having me.
Can you give us a little background about, what you do, how you got in your position, and, maybe your schooling that led you up to this point?
Sure. So I've been at the county for 28 years, and I've gone from working at the sheriff's office originally to county legal, to parks and recreation, to public protection, corrections, community services, and now I'm at Votran. I've had a really interesting career over the 28 years. I've never really done the same thing twice. And I think ultimately I came to Votran because of my contract management and project management skills, and was asked to oversee the contractor that we have that operates Votran. And it evolved into realizing that we needed to have a county division oversee that service. And so we developed the division, and a few years later I was made the division director. And so for the last almost 3 years, I've been the director, and it's been a wild ride. We've made so many improvements. We've changed things so dramatically, but it's like nothing I've ever done in my 28-year career. I have a bachelor's degree. I also went to USF and got my certified public manager degree, which is specific to government positions. And so the county actually asked me to do that, and that's been many years ago, but it was very valuable training, all about public administration type functions. And so here I am the last couple years of my career, working as the director of Votran.
That's awesome. What does a day in the life of the director of Votran look like? Like, what are you doing every day?
Oh my gosh, it's so hectic. I personally think it's probably one of the hardest jobs in Volusia County. We are almost a 24/7, 365-day-a-year operation. The contractor that I oversee has 300 plus employees, operators, so bus operators, administrative, dispatch, maintenance, you name it. And it's all day, every day, something going on. But we are a busy organization. We're constantly seeking grant funding, and we get that from federal and state grants, and some, alternative ones as well. But my group is actively applying for, managing grants of millions of dollars worth of grants. We're also involved with service changes. We're constantly looking at our current service to see where can we do better, maybe be more efficient. We need to evolve with the type of services that are coming in transit. So we're trying to stay ahead of the curve. It's not just fixed route buses anymore, which are the large buses. Fixed route means they go the same place every single day. They are there at the same time every single day. But that also means that they don't deviate into the community to pick up people specifically. You have to get to that spot where they're actually running every single day. And that's challenging because people, dealing with the environment every single day, if they have to walk a half a mile, they're not going to do it. And so now people are looking at transit in a different way. How can we get transit out into the whole community? And that's not in a fixed route fashion. That's more of a what we call microtransit format, and there are smaller vans that are rideshare type scenario where you're booking it on demand. You're getting picked up, but you're also getting picked up with others in the area that are going in the same direction. It's a very efficient way to serve the public. It's less expensive, and it also gets you from where you're at. So those people that didn't have service before are now getting service when they need it. So that's the kind of things that we're constantly trying to evolve our service to meet. And it's very interesting. It's a lot. It's never a dull moment. There's accidents. We're dealing with a lot of people every day. So sometimes it's people are not well, or in our day-to-day service, we run into somebody that may be having a medical episode or something like that. So it's always something different every day.
Wow. Now, for people who aren't as familiar with Votran, I know there's 3 separate services that you guys offer. Could you maybe elaborate on each one of those?
Sure. So I already mentioned fixed route. So that's the big buses, and that's limited to where they're at. But then we also provide paratransit service. Paratransit service is for our ADA clients. So they may have difficulty walking, or they may have difficulty seeing. But those are the individuals that we pick up at their house. It's called door-to-door service. And that's generally in the same area as the fixed route, but if you consider the fixed route going straight down the road, we service the folks within 3/4 of a mile on either side of that road. Okay. So it's a service area, but we do that at the 365, 7 days a week service. And then we also have VoRide, which is our microtransit service. And currently that is on the west side of the county only, but we are looking to provide that throughout the county in various areas. And the way we decide what areas those need to be served is we look at where our fixed route is now. Is the ridership high? Is the ridership low? Is there a need to branch out in those areas? If we've got a fixed route that's low ridership, we don't want that. We want We want something that's really providing the greater need. So if it's not a well, if it's not, what am I saying? If it's not a fixed route that has a lot of ridership, that means something's wrong with it. So we typically look to see if we can serve that with microtransit instead. And that's exactly what we did here on the west side of the county. We took low ridership fixed route out of the Deltona, DeBerry, Orange City area, and even some here in DeLand, and we replaced it with the microtransit service, and our ridership has increased 25%.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I do see them all the time in DeLand, the little ride.
The VoRide.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is cool. It's cool too because we were here when it started, and so it's cool to see it grow and expand. I mean, you recently just went through an expansion, and I'm sure through your 28 years at the county, you've seen Votran, VoRide, all these different things change. But this year is you guys' 50th anniversary, which is super exciting.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel like Votran has changed over that 50 years? Like, where did we start, and how did we get to where we are today?
Oh gosh, it's so interesting. I know the person that actually started the service. Yeah, he's still involved somewhat with. I mean, he doesn't work with us, but he's in the community, lives in the community, and we work with him a lot. But he started the service, and we have started from a small little building, maybe a few buses, and it evolved into a full-blown service with paratransit, more buildings. He built the transfer plaza in Daytona. We have, now migrated to New Smyrna. That wasn't originally, even DeLand, the west side of the county wasn't originally a service area. So we've branched out, of course. The buses have changed dramatically. It's technology has changed dramatically. We're looking at that now. We're incorporating a new technology system that is really going to bring us to the forefront of transit with the ability to do a mobile app that you can schedule your ride right from, pay. You can see, where your vehicle is at all times. There's a lot of technology improvements. So yeah, it's changed dramatically over the 50 years, and we're, still changing. This year is going to be another big service change for our organization, and we'll be happy to share that over the next couple of months.
I'm very excited to find out more about that.
Mm-hmm.
What is your current amount of routes? Like, how many stops does Votran have?
Wow, thousands actually. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. And they may not be
like
big ones. Yeah. They're maybe not like big ones. They're, maybe even just a post in the ground that says Votran stop. So it varies from that kind to a full-blown ADA accessible stop that has the ramp and everything to a transfer plaza like we have in Daytona. We have one here in DeLand that's actually operated by DeLand, but we utilize it. So yeah, it varies from posts in the ground to something major. But if you consider, the amount of miles and stuff that we operate here, it is a lot.
That's crazy. Now what is a day in the life of someone who works in like Votran operations? Someone who's a driver, what does that look like for them?
Well, it starts very early in the morning, before 4 o'clock in the morning. We have dispatchers in the office. We have supervisors in the office. We have operators getting their buses ready to roll out. And then it goes until midnight or later. So there's a very short period of time when things are not constantly going at Votran.
Wow. I remember when the first time I toured Votran, I was so impressed with the building and just the staff and their education level of truly what it takes to run a service like this. I mean, it's a lot from monitoring the calls and the stops and like what people's needs are.
Mm-hmm.
Is there maybe any current openings? Like, are you looking for drivers? Are you looking for people to come in and recruit with you guys?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So we have a new contractor that starts on August 15th, and they've been actively recruiting. They had a job fair earlier in July, and I think they have another one coming up soon. Just check our website, votran.org. But they're looking for maintenance techs. They're looking looking for drivers. They're trying to ramp up to make sure they're ready to go on August 15th. But it's interesting. Most transit agencies have people that started as a driver and have grown all the way up to directors or general managers in some cases. But that is very common in the transit world, to go from point A to all the way through their career. So yeah, it's awesome to see that.
Wow, that's crazy. What does the training look like to become a driver? If I wanted to come onto Votran and, I wanted to be a driver of one of the Votran buses, what does that training process look like?
Lots of hands-on experience, lots of safety training. We do have simulators so people can get behind the wheel and see how it is before they actually get behind the wheel. But in some cases, like the fixed route bus, the larger bus, they have to have a CDL license. So they'll go through that kind of training. And we provide that on-site training. It's paid training. So anybody that doesn't have a CDL can still apply as long as they are able to get a CDL, qualify for a CDL. We'll train them and they can be off and running. But there's a lot of training involved. We do not only initial training, but every year there's refresher training. We're very safety oriented, so that's a big deal in our world. So they're constantly refreshing everybody's safety training, and so that's
Wow. I think something I was most impressed with about, when I first came to Votran is how clean the buses are. I mean, you don't see that everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that look like as far as maintenance goes? I know cleaning is a big thing, and I think that's what a lot of people wonder about,
Right.
But also maintenance.
Mm-hmm. So, oh my gosh, we have one of the best maintenance teams in the world. Our maintenance director's been there for 45 years. But the buses come in, usually overnight is when they're cleaned. Sometimes they're deep cleaned with aeroclave machines, but every single night they're cleaned. You wouldn't believe how they come in versus how they go out, but we never send a bus out the next day that hasn't been cleaned.
Wow, that's so interesting. And it's so interesting because there's so many different parts of Votran, and there's so many different elements that go into running a bus that we don't even think about. And I'm sure with that, there's money that's involved with all of that. What and how is Votran funded?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, general fund dollars are used to supplement federal and state grants, and we do such a good job of leveraging that. Our goal is always to leave that general fund dollars as low as possible and to maximize our grant funding. And so we are very creative in how we do that. Typically, a transit agency is run with 50% general fund dollars versus 50% grant funds, but we actually exceed that. We're probably 75-25. So it's around $11 million right now in general fund dollars. And to make that more impressive, we haven't really increased that in 5 or 6 years. Right. And so, but our budget has increased to over $37 million. And so the remainder of that is grant funds. And that's a big deal. I know it's a big deal to our council. We do, supplement some of that with revenue from fairs and things like that. We also do advertising. We allow advertising on our bus. And so our advertising company gives us a share of that revenue. But for the most part, it's grant funded.
That's really interesting. And how much does it cost? I've never ridden a Votran bus aside from like in your parking lot. How much does a typical fare cost? And do you guys offer any kind of discounts for military or students?
Yeah. So it's $2 for a one trip. You can buy a day pass, which is more cost effective, of course. And then we have 30-day passes, we have 7-day passes. Those are always the most economical way to do it. And then for every regular fare that we have a reduced fare, which is half price. So it's $1 for a senior. It's half price for the $50 monthly pass is $25 for seniors, and children, of course, have reduced fare as well. Wow. So it's very economical.
That's awesome. Now we're kind of talking about money a little bit. And one of the things that I've heard a rumor about. I don't know if it's true. But are you guys actually looking towards any kind of electric vehicles or fuel alternative vehicles?
So we focus on fuel alternative vehicles. We have propane operated paratransit vehicles. So that's our smaller bus that we operate our paratransit service with. We've been awarded one of only a handful of awards in the state of Florida, almost $1.7 million to buy 7 propane paratransit vehicles. We already had a fleet of propane vehicles, but we're just trying to add to it and maintain that. It's a cleaner fuel. It definitely, it's more cost effective. Propane is cheaper than regular gas or diesel. So yeah, we're trying to build up our alternative fuel vehicles right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Is there any other like new technologies maybe you guys are also implementing in this time? I know you said some big things are coming, so.
Yeah. So some software that we're implementing soon to be rolled out, probably around November, is going to allow for the first time, allow our paratransit users to schedule online or via app, also pay in that fashion too. Right now they have to buy passes or pay in cash, which can sometimes be challenging. And we're trying to eliminate some of that, but trying to make it much easier for our passengers to maybe get a trip on demand, which is pretty quickly when they need it. Right now they have to book ahead of time. Eventually I'd like to see us get to a point where they can book the same day. So something comes up today, they can book their trip and get it, and that's way more efficient. It's definitely a challenge, but it's something that we know we're going to be able to get to. But yeah, and maybe one day we'll go all electronic payment options, but we haven't got there yet. So.
And what about like top priorities for the next couple years? I know I'm sure with the 50th anniversary, you guys are reflecting a lot this year about how far you've come, but where is your plan to go in the next few years?
So our definite, main goal is to become a very multimodal strategic. That means if I want a paratransit ride right now, currently I can't do that. I have to wait until, one's available over the course of the next couple of days. A multimodal service means that I have many different options. And what that means for me is I need to make sure I have contracts in place for microtransit, for maybe a TNC, which is a transit network company like Uber or Lyft, taxi cabs, contracting with other paratransit operators in our area, which we do now, but they're not on demand, but just making sure I have this fleet of resources available for whatever comes up. And so we're working toward that kind of model where anybody can get any trip that they need really on demand.
Wow. I feel like the transit world is just, it's so untouched with people that are not in tune with it. Like the more I hear you talk about it or Jacob talk about it, I'm like, I didn't know any of this stuff even existed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys coordinate a lot with the state and, any kind of those transit?
Right. So we're always looking at our partners in the state. I'm a part of a board that involves all of the other agencies in Florida. We meet regularly. They have all kinds of great ideas. We have all kinds of great ideas. We share that a lot. And so, yeah, we're constantly learning new techniques or new ways to provide service from our peers.
That's awesome. So this is kind of a fun question. When we were preparing for this interview, we were talking with our team. We were asking, what do you guys think we should ask? What are the things that's so important for the county to know and for our residents to know? Someone brought up the Florida Triple Crown Rodeo. Can you explain to me what this is? And I heard you guys won some pretty cool awards this year.
Mm-hmm. So our bus drivers love to compete, so they'll go to different rodeos, and it's not RODEOs. It's ROADO. So rodeo, ROADEO. But anyway, yeah, they like to compete, and at least once a year there's a competition amongst agencies in the state of Florida. But we have drivers that have been with us for 50 years. They really know what they're doing. And almost every time we go, we have a win. But not just that, but it's always paired with a maintenance component as well. So our technicians compete, and we've had top winners in maintenance competitions every year as well. So we're blessed to have some of the best maintenance team in the state of Florida, and then the trainers as well in our organization are top notch too. But they take it very seriously, and we're proud, very proud of them.
That's awesome.
I had to go Google what the rodeo was because when I saw all of your awards on the wall, I was like, this doesn't make, why would they be going to a rodeo? And then when you Google it, it's actually pretty cool to see all these people competing with these very large buses.
Right. When you think it's like a 35 or 40-foot bus that's having to maneuver in and out of cones or, in a specific course that's been set up, it's not as easy as it looks.
It does not look easy.
They make it look
They make it look easy.
They do.
I mean, I guess we'll see how I do behind a wheel, but
right. Even just getting in our parking lot is a challenge with a bus. And it amazes me every day when I see how they can manage to get it in and out without hitting anything.
I hit the curb just leaving my parking spot alone. Yeah.
So is there any kind of maybe hidden gem that you found along the routes, like any specific location that Votran may service that you're like, hey, we go to this park or this overlook that people wouldn't even know existed?
That's a good question.
I know we see a lot around Daytona Beach. Like it's like every few feet, I'm like, oh, there's a Votran sign. There's a Votran sign. But we were out at a park. I think it was Lake Ashby. We were filming for something, and there was a Votran stop like out in the middle of nowhere. I was like, wow, this is interesting. Yeah.
Well, I would say it's few and far between. But occasionally we'll, we go down to Ponce Inlet, we're in New Smyrna, we go up and down A1A in Daytona. So the possibilities are endless in some areas, but not so much in others, so that's the whole thing is, we're trying to serve as many people as possible. And that traditional fixed route, option isn't as favorable as it could be. So we're trying to make sure that we do get people where they want to go. Not everybody just wants to go to Walmart or the courthouse or somewhere where they have to go. They want to go where they want to go, and so we want to give them those options to be able to go to the park, and especially our disadvantaged individuals, that may not be able to go out very much at all. And so the more services options they have, the more they can be like able-bodied individuals and go whenever they want to. And of course our Sunrail, I think those are probably our best options for getting out and moving much further. If you think about it, Sunrail goes all the way through to Osceola County, and eventually maybe they'll go elsewhere. I also know that you can go to a certain stop in Orlando and go the rest of the way to the airport. So some people actually take Sunrail and go all the way to the Orlando airport.
I did not know I did that.
But we service all those locations by a bus. So if your interest is to go, further into other counties, that, we can help you get there. And it's economical too.
That's awesome.
Do drivers, this is not on our list, but I had to know.
Oh, no.
Do drivers, I don't want to say compete, but do they want to pick a certain route over another? Yeah. Do they have favorable routes?
Yes, they do. So some of our longest running employees want to be here on the west side. And so part of their union contract allows them to have the seniority picks, and typically the ones on the west side of the county are the first ones to be selected. So yeah, they do. They have their favorites. And when you talk to those employees, they see the same riders every single day, and they've developed a rapport, so they want to keep that route. I love those stories because when I talk to those riders, they love their job and they love the people that they serve every single day, and they don't want to go anywhere else.
Yeah, I imagine some of that too has to do with like the tourism and stuff on the east side with people coming to the beaches and stuff. You don't see as many in common. So I guess that does make sense. I wouldn't have thought that, but that does make sense that you want to keep the rapport and keep those relationships there. Do you guys have a lot of success stories with riders coming to you guys and saying, I've had this bus driver for 20 years and I love him? Do you guys see that a lot?
Yes, we sure do. Yep. Especially over here on the west side. Yeah. We definitely hear from our riders. I love it when our riders give kudos to our drivers. It's a challenging job at times, especially our paratransit drivers. They're doing door-to-door service. They see some of the challenges that those folks have every day, and they make such a big difference in their life. And so our drivers love it, but our riders love our drivers.
Awesome.
That's so cool. What about first time riders? If I've never been on Votran or VoRide, how do I, participate? What do I expect the first time I walk onto a Votran bus?
It can be challenging. So we do provide maps and sometimes good directions on what buses you need to get on to get to where you're going, but it can be a little bit challenging. I would suggest talking to the driver even to say, hey, am I on the right bus? Or calling and getting assistance from our customer service. They're always able to help. But yeah, our drivers will walk you through it. Maybe you don't know even about the ticket, but they can simply help you through that as well. There's information on our website, how to ride Votran is on the website. But I hear from our regular riders that typically have used transit all their life maybe, and they moved here at some point in their life and they want to continue to ride transit. That's something they're familiar with, they're comfortable with, they don't have to worry about driving, it's safe. And so I know that our regular users love riding transit.
That's awesome. What is the most common question you guys get from the public?
I think it would have to be stemmed around our paratransit use. Why can't I get a trip today? And it's really it's a very heavily used service. Paratransit is booked solid every single day, and so it's challenging for us to be able to provide rides on a fly. We have only so many resources, so many drivers, so many vehicles, and so we just can't manage an immediate trip need. But we're going to get there. We are definitely moving in that direction. But I think even before the end of the year, we're going to start seeing some of that become available. So I think our riders will be very happy to hear that.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of opportunity for feedback? Maybe if residents ride Votran and they're excited and they really enjoyed their, the person that's driving them around, they want to give good feedback. Is there a way for residents to be able to do that?
Yes, there is. So we do have some forums on our website that you can write in and do commendations, or maybe you've had trouble with it and you want to seek out how to rectify it or something like that. Well, we do all kinds, but yes, we do want everybody's feedback, good or bad. Yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like I've learned so much about Votran today. I have never been on a Votran bus aside from, like you said, like in the parking lot of Votran, just to see it and kind of see what it's like. But I've seen them all around our county, and I know it's so utilized by our community, and we're so thankful for you to be here today and to answer all of our questions. But as we close, we have a question that we ask all of our guests, and the question is, how do you define success, and how has that definition changed over time?
Wow. Wow. That's a good question. I set goals for us every single year. They're usually, governed around the rider experience and the services that we can provide, and then the goals of our county council. And so it's challenging, but I feel like every day I get a win. is a good day. And then if I don't get a win, I strive to make that happen somewhere along the line. But we've met so many goals over the last few years, and I think that the successful services that we're providing is really, that speaks for itself. And so that's good enough for me. But we do have higher goals to meet going forward.
So before we officially end the episode, I just have to know a little bit more about the 50 years, right? Because this is 50 years of Votran and 50 years of service, and that's a super exciting, milestone to celebrate. So just give me a little bit more information.
Yeah, happy to. So believe it or not, in September, we'll be celebrating our 50th year in service. And we do have, lots of things to celebrate. On September 19th, we'll be having a big celebration at our facility. We're also going to be unveiling some new logos. And for the rest of the year, we're going to be celebrating our 50th. So be on the lookout for different exciting things coming. But we hope for another 50 years at least.
Yeah, I hope so. It's so exciting. I mean, 50 years is a huge milestone. I mean, I just think about my age and I'm like, wow, I have yours till 50 years, and I can only imagine how much I'm going to accomplish in my life, let alone a whole, organization and what everything that you guys have done. I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
And I know we were talking earlier, you actually have an employee that started 50 years ago. He has been with the county for 50 years in Votran.
I know. Can you believe it? So we actually do have an employee that's been with us for 50 years. He just celebrated his 50th year anniversary. He's also been awarded the Operator of the Year for the entire state of Florida. We'll be celebrating that in September. Bernard Huggins is his name. He's a wonderful person. He loves his job. He actually drives over here into DuRant. And yeah, it doesn't get any better than him. And we couldn't be prouder of him. He has no interest in leaving anytime soon.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see what the future of Votran holds in the next 50 years, and also really excited to see all of the little things you guys are planning for the 50 years of celebration. And thank you so much for coming on and teaching us all about Votran today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of It's Giving Government. Make sure to stay tuned for our next episode of A Day in the Life, where Kelsee and Maya go out and spend the day at Votran and learn everything there is to know about our transit services here in Volusia County. So until next time, we hope you enjoyed watching. Bye!